Hello. It's very nice to be here in Berlin and to meet you all and to discuss with you. I had some meetings with some of you, and I just thought it was just wonderful to hear all the discussions and debates, and that we think different, but we want the same goal. So can it really be that the industry occupied with depicting reality has no tools for evaluating its own point of view? Is there an awareness? Is there a strategy? A few years ago, two independent studies were done in Sweden concerning parents and how freely they let their children move around. Data was collected at the one-year checkup at the pediatrician's office, and both studies determined that boys were allowed to move around with much greater liberty than girls. The daughters were free to move 3 meters away until when the parents wanted them to come back, to come closer. And the boys, the sons, were permitted to move all the way of 7 meters. That means that girls and boys allowed range of movement differ dramatically at 1 year of age. The parents established different boundaries for the children. They protect them differently, and they give them different opportunities for exploring. My thesis is that this attitude, subconsciously restrictive towards the girls and some subconsciously generous towards the boys, will follow them into adulthood, not as a single event, but as an integral part of lifelong pattern. Film is a cultural identifier forming by way of deciding who is seen, who tells what stories from which perspectives. But film is not gender neutral, just as society is not. It is striking that men's stories concern everyone, but women's stories only concern women. In reviews, industry talk, in everyday conversation, film is, as an expression, gender-biased. Therefore, it is no surprise that the same holds when it comes to selection committees and financial backers. The fact that I cannot partake in the stories, dreams, and thoughts of half the population creates a democratic deficit. We live in a 2080 world, as we saw with 725. It's always 2080. The issue of the identity deficit is not unknown. Everybody has something to say regarding the issue, but there is an essential and distinct dividing line between lip service and action. So, now I should speak about this film agreement. I won't analyze it because that would take 2 hours. I will only talk about gender equality here. What happened now? Oh, shit. I took the wrong. Okay, the Swedish Film Agreement was founded in 1963, and now this year in January we go into the 7th agreement. And this is the funding, and it's like it's 42 million euros. And I can talk for this for a long time, but I won't because I have short. Now let's see if I take the right here. This is more or less annual films funded by the public funding, by the Film Institute, and it can vary. Okay, now we talk, because the biggest problem is money. In short films and in documentary in Sweden, I would say it's more or less 50-50. And also, film photographers, they can shoot shorts and documentaries, but when it comes to feature length, that's our biggest problem, I would say. But something happened with the film agreement 2006. That was when the first time, after a long battle of women and men and some politicians that were quite awake, so they put in the agreement that all the funding from the film agreement, which is the most important in Sweden, funders, there you see in 2006 to 2012, it was kind of nice written. It said it could or should be 40% of either sex, and that, of course, that happens then that it becomes 60-40. But I will show you statistic what happened a bit later. But now, this year, the whole line in this agreement, which you can also read on our homepage in English, it sharpened it, and it should say all the money and the funding should go to half equally between men and women. So this started now in January. So here you see the money and the project should be equally between both sexes. And here you see statistics, and this is statistics for feature-length film. It's like, here you see the 2000s. Now, the thing what we count is director, scriptwriter, and producer. But of course, you always have to be aware who are the main character of film, who are the sound person, who are the DOP. This statistic it's needed as well. And there you see that in 2006, 2000 to 2005, it was 19%. And after this, of directors, I take only directors because you can see. And after that, when we put this in the agreement, it increased to 29%. And this is feature length. And what you see in the brackets, that's film that is not funded by the Swedish Film Institute. So you see, it's much worse, it's 6%. So you can see that it's brutal side, the market can't make it itself. Yeah. So now we have this in our agreement, 50-50, but we also have to take action plans on many levels. You have to work on many roads to walk on together. And therefore, we took up a strategy plan with 5 points that we just... there comes very often this argument, there are very few competent female filmmakers. It's just that they are forgotten. The day after very many filmmakers are dead, they are forgotten, they are not even in the archive. And for example, Griffith, next to him there was, everyone knows Griffith, but who knows Louise Weber, was as well looked upon at that time, but no one knows her any longer. So we want to rewrite the history. The first commercials, the first silent movies, they were made by women. And then the more money it came in, you know, they are forgotten. So we're going to find, this we do together with all the Nordic Film Institutes, which we have very similar systems. And so we're going to find everyone, DOPs, sound, director, everyone. We're not going to say they did not exist. And I am extremely happy about this, because you always walk in someone's shoe, you know, in the pattern of someone else. And if you don't have role models, if you don't know who, then you know, you're more poor. So, and also to honor these people that dedicated their life to the film art. So we will also do something that will continue in the future. And yeah, so that is one thing we are starting doing now together with the academies. And then women don't get to make their second and third film. And that's not only a problem for women. That's you know, you can say to debut, it's easy. But to get to do your second and your third film, that's another story. So we are starting now, next month, a new mentor program, which is called Movie Ment. And it will be mutual learning by 15 women. We are not going to teach them anything about directing because they are wonderful directors, but we're going to make a network, we're going to study the structures, we're going to meet the people in power, like 4 big meetings with them, and discuss how is the film industry made up now. And we have got some 5 mentors that are extremely interesting to participate. So this will be something that I can talk more about in 1 year when it's a 1-year trip. And then there is also argument that there aren't as many young women as men who dreams of becoming a filmmaker, a film director, which is not true, but that is what is said. So we have especially got 1 million crowns from the Swedish government to do something about this. So we are now studying making studies at the film schools, and how are they teaching, which films are they showing, and all the way from school, in the film schools and outside, festivals, competition, how are the structures and what can we do, and have workshops. And so all the regions of Sweden are now working with this, so it's on many levels, and also making interesting studies. Yeah, counting the percentage of women compared to men doesn't lead to equality. That's the argument you hear, but we think it does. So now we establish much more tough control routines to secure data and statistics. And we really need to know what we're doing, so we count like everything we do in a gender thought way. Those in power have no desire to see things change. But sometimes you are in power and it always makes something with you, but you have to start the discussion, you have to start the studies. So now we are together with political sciences and also the Film TV Producer Association. We are now starting a studying the structure within, and what can we do with this. So all this have started. Many people are gathering now to do the best out of our statistics and workshops and see where we will get. So I feel as now, for example, here in Berlinale we have 9 short films. Most of them are made by women, and I hope in 5 years we have 5 feature-length films too, because I think that's the more money it is a bigger problem. So, but this is, you can do something, and you can see that it creates awareness if you have a strategy. Thank you.